Or just a reminder, download the ZingoTV and Barnburner TV app on the respective stores on Android devices and Apple iOS stores. You can also find this on Google Chromecast, Roku Sticks, Amazon Fire, and Smart TVs 2016 forward. Another edition here. Happy to be joined by my guest. He's the York Lions master coach. He's also a former assistant coach at York 9. He is Carmen Sacco. How you doing, Carmen?
I've been better, Giancarlo. How are you?
Doing okay. Slowly going towards the end of this year. Hopefully, everyone can put this behind them. Everyone's looking forward to the start of 2021. But Carmen, there was some unfortunate news yesterday. There was a passing in the Vaughan soccer community. Just want to give you the floor. You can talk about it and speak on who passed away.
Yeah, it's Jody Forno, who I watched growing up. Luca Forno is my associate head coach at York University right now. They're both been part of my CS Missouri days back in the day in North York, and he was working with me throughout it. And he was, like I said, a player at York and a coach at York. Just a fantastic human being. And he was the first touch director now at Vaughan Soccer Club, and just incredible energy and passion for the little ones. Did so much good work, improve the credibility, the curriculum, everything of the Vaughan program. And it's just a sad time, and it's just surreal, to be honest with you, that someone so young and so immersed in the good part of soccer and the community and selfless and passionate it has left us. And again, it's just surreal for us. We go in and out of kind of sadness and nostalgia and so yeah, I mean, we can't talk enough about him, but the support we've been getting in the community has been amazing. Through his GoFundMe, he leaves a 12-year-old son who turned 12 yesterday. So we're trying to do our best to kind of come together as a community and support him and do the best we can for him and Luca's family. And we pray that his brother Luca and Ricky and his mother Antoinette and his father Jody can find something positive throughout this, whether it's the community growing together, whether it's all the support, whether it's all the amazing tributes to him that really kind of made his life fulfilled. But again, way too short, and it's not a good moment for our community right now.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone listening to this to go to the Vaughan Soccer Instagram page and the Twitter page. Go on their website, Vaughan Soccer, and you can find out all the details there about the GoFundMe. Helps a good cause there, much needed there for his family. 12-year-old son. I remember I looked at pictures online on the Vaughan Soccer thing. I have recognized them. Must have refereed some of his games, but yeah, very unfortunate news. And going on to that, in the Vaughan community, Carmen, we do see that one of your former players, Mark Anthony Kay, you're wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt, and Black Players for Change, they were awarded the Humanitarian of the Year. So how significant is this to you? One of your former players was a part of this incredible cause, a very important cause, and he gets rewarded for that as part of the group there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's amazing. I to be honest, I wasn't even aware that he won it. I knew he was one of the finalists. I know Justin Morrow was there as well, who's made an amazing impact on the community as well. That's just fantastic news. I mean, Mark is a mold of his surroundings, and I think that his beautiful mother and his family and what he stands for really came out here, and this was one of many things he's done for not only us but for now a bigger stage, and it's important that we get the message out, and it's important that we find equality And it's important that we don't only preach it, but we live it every day.
Yeah, I agree with you. And congrats to Mark Anthony K, past guest here on this show, and great person, great causer. And I'm glad that they gave it to all three finalists there. They're all part of the group. So I thought it was important there that they didn't just single one out. And I think that's what they should do every year. Do you think going in MLS, like they should look at different causes and instead of narrowing it down to maybe individuals, more of a collective award?
I mean, if it makes the impact that it did this year, then yes. I mean, if they're spokesman for, a change and evolution in the whole world, yes. If they're they were a punch in the face to the world for morality, for equality, for right, and the reasons, and it gave a new perspective for even those people kind of, on the kind of boundary of, that, oh, I'm not a racist, or I embrace it. But it gave them a punch in the face of education. It gave them a punch in the face of history, of the reality of how, Black people, Aboriginal people have been discriminated against for so long. And it is not normal, and it's not normal to be dealt with differently. So it kind of brought a incredible light to those people, and the need for change, and the need to look in the mirror and say, how can I be better at this? So incredible passion, incredible message, and not just bells and whistles. It's not just, superficial, and media-based kneeling and all that. It's genuine, and it's philosophy provoking, and just emotion provoking, and just an incredible argument, and an incredible reality of what exists and how we need to change what exists because of right and wrong. So I applaud those people. I applaud what I mean. I'll involve my group into this as well. We're trying hard, and we're finding a ways to make changes as well.
Yeah, that's great. It's also refreshing to hear like you see now Toronto FC like partnered with them too. So like more professional teams getting on board with this. Can't say the same thing for the NHL, but no one's surprised there. What does it say to you that soccer is really going forward with this and really trying to make their best effort to provoke change?
Well, I mean, it's also, the European base about all the racism in Europe, and the lack of education, and the lack of knowledge, and the lack of clarity that they have, and I think it's that where, Ali Curtis, and Justin Morrow, and Mark Anthony Kay have to send the messages now. They have to educate. Our whole world needs to be educated, and it's not just 1 month in February where it's Martin Luther King Day. It needs to be a realignment of what our thought processes are, and a realignment of opportunity and education, and all those things just need to be come. And there's going to a lot more that's going to come to the forefront, and then we need to move from there. But it's again, it's not just passion, it's not just emotion. There's substance, and there's education, and there needs to be that, excuse my analogy, but a punch in the face of reality to what really happens in our world.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well said. And going on to like more of the CPL here, you have to forget they're not York 9 anymore. They're York United FC. So York United FC made another signing, another young player coming in, Sebastian Gutierrez. He's Colombian. Uh, do you see like he's a midfielder, but a lot of people are saying like he could be more of a dynamic midfielder. Like, is this going to be a replacement for a H.E.R type or more of an Aparicio type, do you think?
I would assume an Aparicio type, restarts, but a lot of the responsibility probably fall on Rivero as well now. And I think it's again, it's that investment and sellability idea, and and if he stands out in CPL, will he get the next level contract? Will he get to the MLS? Is it sellable? So we'll see if the analytics work. We'll see if the algorithms work. And, it seems on paper to be a very good signing. It seems to be a very good replacement. And again, there's a lot of unknowns. But for what we do know, it's going to be a lot of work for Jimmy. It's going to be a lot of work for Paul and Jimmy. And you know what? I believe Angus McNabb has given him he thinks he's given him all the tools to be successful.
Yeah, and like York United also, it doesn't look like Chris Manella would be back, and that was like a player that they had invested a lot in to bring over from Ottawa when he's out of contract. Do you think he would have been a good fit on this team? Should they maybe look at trying to add him in and making it work, or is he better suited going elsewhere?
Well, Chris Manella, I mean, I don't know if I'm breaking anything, but I don't know if it's been announced or confirmed, but I believe he's going to be wearing an Atletico Ottawa jersey next year again. He embraced the community. He was very good for them in multiple positions. He's an outstanding human being, an outstanding ambassador to what a player should be, his habits, his beliefs. But yeah, I think that he would have been a perfect fit. And obviously the sample size was tiny here at York 9, but I think he would have been a perfect fit for any team in the CPL. And when he's at his potential and he's at his healthiest, he's one of the best midfielders in the game. And to be honest, like it's hard to see a better midfielder than what they would have had between H.E.R and Manella and Aparicio. That would have been like they probably didn't reach their potential at any time for whatever reasons, but it's exciting, and maybe it's going to be healthy for them going elsewhere and kind of honing their game and honing their leadership.
Yeah, and like Chris Manella too. He was one of the first players actually I interviewed. He was at Toronto FC2 at the time when they first started. He was a captain, and a lot of people were expecting he'd be in TFC right now. Like they were looking at him as maybe being a guy that can come off the bench for Bradley, slot into that role. His career kind of went in a different direction. So, like as somebody who I've seen on the sidelines type of thing, do you think that he's kind of lived up to expectations, or can he still reach another level in his potential?
Oh, there's definitely another level and another potential. I mean, I've watched Chris grow up since I had him on the district team for North York back in the day. He's got a next level. And I mean, let's put things in perspective. He is only 25 years old, right? So the next 3 years are going to be very telling for him. And it's not about the technique. It's not about the thinking game. It's about the competitiveness now. It's about him competing at the highest level and last year at Ottawa, he had a very good season. He had a very good season as far as, and they put him in situations where he was playing center back, took him out of his defensive midfield role. But what he has to do now is he has to be he has to be a big part of a winning program. He needs to win. He needs to be a spark plug for that. And he needs to make people around him better. So, the great players are those that are not only, the fighting themselves or working against themselves to be the best, but at a certain level to make everyone else around them better. And we saw that in the MLS with Reynoso and other players like that make people better around him. And that's Manella's next step.
Yeah, and do you think he is a player that's better for a center back? Because like I know they tried that, but do you think he's more of a center defensive mid, or he's probably would be better suited in the center back?
I mean, I honestly think he's better suited as a 6. He can play as an 8. He has vision. He has vision to play, break down defenses, from or find spaces in between. With passing, he's got great passing range. I think that, if he gets in front of goal, he can be very lethal as well. He's got a good finisher. So I think the 6 is the best role for him. I think that that's where he can dictate the tempo of a game a lot more. I think that he can be a ball winner and distributor and he could break defenses down with one long diagonal. So I think that would be his best role. That's where we used him when we had him. That's where we saw him at his best in the Pan Am games as well. So yeah, that's what I see. I don't think the center back is a good role for him.
Yeah. And transitioning on to Halifax, another team that kind of surprised everyone in the Island games. Stephen Hartside really took on that competitive spirit. Some of these young players coming in, and we see Akeem Garcia, what he was able to do. John Morelli is another one who signed on for another year. What are your thoughts on Halifax and their coach, Stephen Hart?
Stephen Hart is one of the most respected individuals in our country, and he deserves to be. He's just an incredibly hardworking man with tons of humility. And I think that the changes that he made were key. Obviously, we talked about Morelli. Morelli was able to give Garcia that distribution, give Rampersad less work to do. Rampersad was one of the best players last year in the league, and at the Island games he was a lot more solid and present than he was last year, because he wasn't getting pulled out of position because he was doing three people's work. So Morelli was an incredible addition to that group. And I think at the center back position, the young man came down from the USL, Gaffery. Brilliant addition, good distributor of the ball, strong presence, and paired with Chalet, it was probably the top two center backs in the league and made a massive difference. Do they have work to do in the wing back positions? Yeah, I think so, but I think they've addressed that as well. I think that'll be coming out soon. So that situation, we noticed a name that wasn't involved in the York United roster today, which is very surprising, but we know where he ended up. And I think that Stephen Hart, it'll be a great addition for him. So I think he'll improve the wingback position. So there's other situations where, they've gotten a lot better. I still believe that they kind of need that focal point or that target. I was a true believer in Skubak, and I think that it was too bad that the relationship between Skubak and Stephen Hart didn't go well. But I think that he's got some aces up his sleeve, and he's got his eye on a few target strikers that will give more room for Akeem Garcia to get inside or come on his strong foot on the left side, or go wide and play on the right side. So amazingly improved team. And I know we all talk about the Coach of the Year and how Bobby Smirnos deserved it. But you got to also commend the work that Stephen Hart's done with that organization, with that team on the field, and just a kind of shift in mentality. A shift in mentality, which was what we didn't see in a lot of teams. I mean, we saw it in Pacific, we saw it in Halifax, and then that's a credit to Stephen Hart for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at Halifax, everything that followed, you have a Golden Boot winner now in Garcia. They have probably the most passionate fan base in the league in terms of fan engagement. How many teams would wish they had that kind of turnout at all their games in the community too. So Halifax is going in the right direction there. And as we close out the CPL version, we're going to go into Serie A, and I want to just get your thoughts on Cristiano Ronaldo. He was a little disappointed that he didn't get the Ballon d'Or. Of course, Lewandowski, Messi, but Ronaldo's reaction became popular online. Just what are your thoughts on Ronaldo's season in Serie A, and did they make the right call with Lewandowski?
For the viewers, why don't you explain what Ronaldo did?
Oh, he was a little bit, I guess you can say, upset with himself, a little sarcastic in how happy he was for the winner. But I agree with the decision. I think Lewandowski, you can't argue with what he did, won the Champions League, but
there was no question. There was no question on as far as analytics are concerned, stats are concerned, impact is concerned. Lewandowski's earned it. And it was about the year he had for sure, but it was about him being at that level for so long as well. And good on him. I mean, obviously he's surrounded with an amazing group of players, but you know what, Cristiano, you're not surrounded by a bad group either. So that might have been the motivation for the sarcasm, and kind of probably won't sit well with your group, and who knows what the locker room's doing now. But yeah, but it's a team. Juventus is a team built around Cristiano Ronaldo, and they all played for him. Lewandowski had a plethora of situations, and he was the best number 9 by far. He was the best number 9 in the world by far, because he scored goals. He scored goals, and he scored goals, and he scored goals, and that's what he did. And without him, they wouldn't have won what they won, the triple crown of German football or European football.
Yeah, and go back to last week with Ronaldo got the 2 penalties. Dybala finally get back on the scoring sheet. So was this something where Dybala looks like he's finally coming back into it and the mix of things and could really turn this teams around?
I mean, slowly. I think that Morata's form has really surprised Pirlo, and I think he wants to give Morata the credit and play him. He's deserved it. He's done really well. He's just he's a fantastic Juventus player. Yeah, and as we saw in his previous stint at Juventus, and I think that Dybala is still a little bit away, and I think the dynamic between Morata and Cristiano Ronaldo is a little better right now than Dybala and Ronaldo. So I think that, will Pirlo look for another position for him? Will Pirlo look for that Dybala behind Morata and Ronaldo, or vice versa, or that interchanging of the top 3 in a different system? Maybe, but he's pretty he's pretty set right now on his his block of 8 or his 4-4-2. So I think that if that continue getting him success, then he might continue with it. But again, it's been tough going for Juventus a little bit lately, especially getting the ball in the net.
And Inter, just on top of that, I just looked at Wednesday's game, and Napoli had the red card there. Inter taking advantage, the man advantage there, and they win 1-0, and it's looking good for the standings right now. They really needed that win. So what did you think of the way Inter played against Napoli?
Solid defensively. They didn't leave those situations where you're like, how are they playing 3v3 in transition? How are they playing man down in transition every time? It was a little more kind of tactically safe, organized, and it against Napoli, the last few times that Conte played against them, they haven't been that successful. So we'll say the conservative approach was appropriate. They did what they needed to do to win. It was workmanlike, it was honest, and it was safe. And they let their good players do what their good players do. I still think that January will be interesting, and we will see how this team transitions. But it was a safe. Not if you notice, they didn't press Napoli as high as they usually do, so they kind of dictated the tempo differently. They didn't have the ball as much. They didn't step and press every moment, so they were more compact in the middle third defending, and it was more of a safe approach. They didn't leave spaces in behind, and like I said, they didn't leave man down situations and counters.
Yeah, and looking also to the other Milan team, AC Milan, still at the top of the table by 1 point right now over Inter. Torino has fallen a lot. It's quite surprising, and a lot of rumors are coming out that Andrea Bellotti, who has been a fan there of AC Milan, what they've been doing, that maybe AC Milan will bring him over in the transfer window this January. if AC Milan were to add somebody like a Belotti, does that put them over the top, especially the kind of play they've been able to have starting the season?
Over the top, I'm not sure. Over the top, I'm not sure. I think that it'll obviously depend on the relationship with Zlatan when Zlatan gets back, and I think that the influence of Zlatan makes these ties wins. So that's where they're kind of struggling a little bit. But I mean, I think that this team, even going through the period they are this time, aren't losing the games. They're tying, or they're finding a way to find a win. Or so I think that Belotti will make a difference. But if you look at the player profile of a Rebic and a Belotti and the way they play together with Zlatan, yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot more space for Belotti to get opportunities. His finishing has been right, but I think that he will make a difference, and he is probably a little better than Rebic, but a lot of similarities for sure. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't think Torino's going to throw in the towel, and I think that would be a sign of throwing in the towel. And I think they had a tough schedule. So going into the next few weeks, I think it'll be must-win situations for them to get out of that relegation zone.
If Belotti were to have like a change of scenery, like going to Milan, and do you think that would just like spark something in him where you just start scoring goals? Is that why maybe Torino doesn't want a chance just letting him go for nothing?
I mean, letting him go for nothing or Serie A survival? I think that's the severity of the situation right now. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type situation. I think that Velotti will stay until they're safe, the whole year, and then I think that Belotti will be loyal to the cause and try to keep Torino into Serie A, and I think that a transfer at the end of the year would make sense.
Yeah, and just looking at the bottom of the table, you got Crotone, Torino, Genoa. Fiorentina is creeping down there too. It's pretty close there. If Fiorentina and Torino were to go down, what does that do for Serie A going forward?
Tragic. It's awful, terrible. And I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that they're going to the groups will let that happen. Especially Fiorentina, who was, at different parts of the 90s and the 2000s were fighting for European spots and are in European spots and with some class players. So that's that, and I would assume Camiso is going to open up his pocket a little bit to give Ranieri some players. I would assume that they improve their back four. I'll improve all over the field. They're relying on an aged Quagliarella to do all their attacking and goal scoring, which is he should be that secondary role model. After they lost Chiesa, they haven't really replaced him. So there's a lot of influence that January is going to have, and I can't see Fiorentina going down. But it looks realistic right now, and I think that Torino will find easier times in the schedule. Although the Spezias of the world, the Bolognas of the world, and the Genoas of the world, where they used to be the better team, it's not necessarily the case anymore. So it's going to be difficult for them to find ways to win, but they're going to have to find ways to win, especially in the next coming weeks, Torino.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And like even Fiorentina, they were when I was a kid, I used to watch them. Like Luca Toni was doing this thing over there. This is a team that was constantly in the mix over there, and just to see them now, just and the relegation point is a sight to see. But we're going to transition now. We're going to welcome in John Nelson from Atlanta. How you doing, John?
We have an announcement, gentlemen. Oh, I thought you knew.
Nah, I don't know.
Little bit within the last hour, Atlanta United has named Gabriel Heinze as their new head coach.
Oh, wow.
Not necessarily a surprise. It was probably one of the biggest name that was linked in a bunch of different ways. But Gabriel Heinze is now the new manager for Atlanta United.
Wow.
I like it.
John,
I like the personality. I like the experience. I like the energy he's going to bring. I like it. I think that he's had some incredible mentors, obviously, and I think I'm encouraged by that move. And it's not going to be tactical genius, but he's got a lot of players that he could let off a leash, and it's going to be definitely a Simeone type team. I think that you're gonna see out there with lots of energy, lots of pressing, lots of tackling, and I watched Atlanta United against in their Champions League game the other night, and they still have a lot of good pieces, and they're missing a lot as well. And I think that he'll bring this team to a different level.
Yeah, what you have is a Bielsa disciple and someone who is regarded as Bielsa is. So if you've seen Leeds this season in the Premier League, Giancarlo, that's what folks are using as their base. But the larger element here is that, this is a bit of a flyer where, you take Heinze's time with Godoy Cruz. It was only 10 matches and he was still, learning in his first opportunity. You take those first 10 matches at Godoy Cruz, you put them to the side, and you're talking about someone with basically 2.5 years of managerial experience, but you're also taking into that his time as a player in places like Manchester United and Marseille, and his time with Newell's Old Boys as well, where he has the history with folks like Franco Escobar. And it would not surprise me, we were having this discussion offline after our show ended this morning, that someone like a Franco Escobar, who has that history with a Gabriel Heinze at Newell's, will be the one who gets the captain's armband. And it will be a great deal of responsibility for Franco Escobar in 2021. The biggest thing that I would probably preach and continue to preach is that it's going to take a while. There needs to be patience when it comes to Gabriel Heinze. This is not the quick cure. Everything's going to be good to go like that. It's going to take a while for the players who are there to get adjusted to this style of play, and you're going to have some wild results. Things like, Jason Longshore on Soccer Down Here was basically kind of breaking things down for everybody over time, as we have over the last week or so. And set piece defending is probably going to be at the last part of the list. So you're probably going to see some set piece goals in 2021 when it comes to Atlanta United. So it's going to be interesting to see this implemented. But the biggest thing that I would preach: patience, patience, patience. It's not going to take a day and a half for everything to sit there and get into place. And all the discussion is it's about a 2-year deal with an option. And so what you're looking for by the end of the 2021 MLS season is a team that is contending, that gets into the playoffs and is contending for a run to possibly go after MLS Cup. But by the end of year 2, with everything in place, with the players that Heinze is looking for that can fit what he wants to do out there on the pitch, by year 2, you're looking at Supporters Shield, MLS Cup, those kinds of things. But the biggest thing is just patience off the top, because it's going to take a bit for this system to get in place with the players that you have on hand. And also, Heinze has not had a player like a Joseph Martinez up top in his history. So to have that kind of an individual as the tip of the spear is going to be interesting to see in this system as well.
Oh yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Like, how does Joseph Martinez fall into his style of play and his system? Is it beneficial for him?
Oh, it'll be. I mean, once again, you haven't had a striker like Joseph for Heinze, and what you've seen over time also with Joseph is Joseph has become a more well-rounded player. You're seeing Joseph. You saw Joseph in 2019 and early 2020 before the injury. He was coming back and helping out defensively. It wasn't just where Joseph's going to hang out around center circle and, oh, by the way, okay, Brad Gazan has it, send it forward. Joseph goes and chase, and then Joseph's off and running, or you build it up quickly, find Joseph, and then you're off and running. Joseph is becoming a more complete player. And to see all of this stuff where to see this evolution as a part of Joseph's game has been great to see as well. I'm looking forward to seeing him flourish in this system, but once again, how it implements itself, it's going to take a little time.
Yeah, and also last week was the MLS Cup final. Carmen, I'll ask you this first. Columbus with the upset over Seattle, 3-0. What were your thoughts on this and the kind of year they had?
From the first whistle, they just made Seattle uncomfortable. The pressing, kind of challenging the back four to play out of situations where they weren't used to. I think Ladero was underwhelming throughout the whole playoffs, but they got away with it. I think that Morris was not effective at all coming off the left side. I thought when he went central, the game changed a little bit, and I think that's more of a position for him. You know, Rui Diaz was I didn't even know he played. So these are the situations that they needed to be successful, and I think that Caleb Porter realized that it's one game. It's one game that they need to press, regardless of Darlington Nagbe missing and Santos missing. They had young, just energetic, healthy, solid players come off the bench and do really well. I mean, the young kid from Indiana was fantastic, and it just shows the pedigree of the college system or the young American system, and it shows that a lot of these players, like Jonathan Osorio, when given a chance, they can play at this level. So that was for me the way Caleb made everything uncomfortable for the 90 minutes. The way the back four was motivated and defended solidly the box. But their box defending was fantastic. You know, in comparison to Minnesota's box defending, which was diabolic. So these are the situations where I think that Caleb definitely should be commended for. And I think that was the difference between making Seattle comfortable or making them kind of establish their tone on the game. And they never let them down. And we talked about it the show before, it's saying that if Seattle gives up the mistakes that they gave up, and they go down 2-0 to Columbus, watch out, because that game is not going to be the same as Minnesota. And they kind of fell into that. Okay, we'll get back into it regardless. But it was a different game, obviously a different team. And you could hear Schmetzer, even his interviews at halftime and before, was very worried. And as he should have been, because they got the third, they closed the game out. And I thought it was a great performance from Columbus.
Yeah, I agree. And like when you're bringing up there, like when they had, when Columbus had the lead, like Seattle, they had the possession all game. They just couldn't really do anything with it. And John, like looking at this, like Seattle, a lot of people thought, okay, they'll win back to back here, and Columbus flipped the script. What are your thoughts on their kind of season, and what does this leave the coaching and Seattle looking like?
Seattle's just put up a clunker. I mean, there's no other way around it. This was not the day to have a clunker of a performance across the board. What I usually like to joke about over at SDH is my Nuhu Tolo bingo card, where, you know, Nuhu has these moments of mental walkabout. He has moments of physical walkabout. You get the unnecessary challenge, you get the unnecessary card, you get the walk away red, but then you'll also get the moment of brilliance where he can put the ball in the back of the net. And I'm used to filling out my Nuhu bingo card. I didn't even get to do that. When I only hear him mentioned once in the first 45 minutes, to me, that means that the midfield is non-existent. And you could see offensively that there was space. I mean, it wasn't just space in the middle. There was space that Columbus could work their way through. And there was just, they had plenty of place to go. And when you look at Seattle, obviously the biggest question is Brian Schmetzer now. And Schmetzer's out of contract, but he did say this week on local radio in Seattle that you could pretty much count on him coming back. He's making about $600,000 from everything that I could dredge up on MLS coach salaries, and it's hard because, once again, it's not stuff that's really posted all that well. But for what Schmetzer has done to create this run that Seattle has been on, one of the best runs that we've seen in MLS in the league history, you want to reward him, but at the same time, with how things are economically right now, you don't know how well you can do it. And there was also, there's also that thought that, okay, have they had their run with Schmetzer? And maybe that was a part of the idea of not, renewing a contract or signing him to a new contract. And then you sit there and try to keep their number one assistant from going to be a part of the discussion with DC United and becoming their new head coach, sign him, have him as a part of the new round of Seattle Sounders. You know, when you have players under contract, I want to say that Ladero is now under contract until 2023. And you're wondering about that because I know that Schmetzer mentioned after the match was over that he would been, I think it was a calf injury, I think that he was nursing. So, you know, with guys getting up there in age and you're signing them to deals, how much of a concern are age and injuries going forward? Is this the end of the run for Seattle? There are a lot of questions involving Seattle that we might be a year or so away from, in all honesty. But this might have been that telltale sign where Seattle is concerned about what next season and how much of a challenge it's going to be when you look at it. I mean, when you look at the performance from Columbus and you saw what Lucas Zelarayan was able to do, 2 goals and an assist. And then you have Aiden Morris come in because you didn't have Darlington Nagbe, you didn't have Pedro Santos as a part of your lineup. Then you're wondering, okay, how does Columbus figure things out? And Caleb Porter did exactly that. Aiden Morris had a fantastic game. Looked like he'd been out there forever in trying to get things squared away for Columbus when he's and he's looking at his particular area of defense. So Aiden Morris stepped in, did a fantastic job. Caleb Porter needs to be commended for the coaching job that he did to navigate this postseason with all of the COVID-19 concerns, all of the positives. Andrew Tarbell coming in for Eloy Room being there in the final. Aiden Morris stepping in to help things out defensively. Caleb Porter did a fantastic job of getting Columbus through the last game of the year as MLS Cup champs, but Seattle will be interesting come 2021.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be an interesting team to watch, and he doesn't deserve a raise when you think about it. Like 4 trips to the final, you win 2. One result shouldn't dictate how much he should be earning. But speaking of coaching vacancies here in Toronto, that's a coaching vacancy that's getting all these different suitable guys coming in. Carmen, I don't know if your phone has been ringing with Bill Manning calling you. Has he called you yet?
He just wants to share the same story when he was at Minnesota and I was at Milwaukee and I got scored on from 65 yards out. Blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, yeah, that's that. You know what? And I say this not so confidently, but I say this. Caleb Porter might want a big time city spending team. I mean, he's proved it with his people all the time. With the Portland, he brought his people, the Akron kind of contingency, and then he did it with his people, bringing Darlington Nagbe back, and so and so. And you know, I think that Toronto might be a good place for him. Toronto might be a place that will kind of feed his ego. You know, dude, will he be able to work with a Pozuelo? Will he be able to work with the next big DP that they're bringing at Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley? That's a step for him. And that's probably a step for him to get to the national team as well. So he's done a fantastic job in we'll say the low market type, building his own mentality, building his own team. But you know, maybe a Galacticos like Toronto, and I know John's shaking his head, but a Galacticos like Toronto might be a good fit for his ego. What do you think, John?
So you want to put who where?
I want Caleb Porter in Toronto.
Not happening.
I
wanted you to say it. I wanted you to say it as a sentence.
What's that?
I wanted you to say it as one sentence. I wanted you to lay it out there.
There, it's laid out, and I think it's still a possibility.
Caleb Porter's home. Caleb Porter has won a championship at home. That's it. I mean, you're at home. You get to go back. You get to bring a championship to a place where you played, where you were at Akron and you played and you got something at Montfray. You're going to be a part of a new build with a new downtown stadium starting in the middle of the year. Caleb Porter's home. It is going to take a Brinks truck and a whole lot of ideas going forward. I think for the foreseeable future, he's happy. He's won a championship with Dr. Edwards and the Haslams there now owning the Columbus Crew, and you're not having to worry about Anthony Precourt and wondering what the future of the franchise is. What you've seen from the level of investment and bringing players in like a Zelarayan, and you've got Zelarayan and Zardes up top. You've got a great back four. You've got a keeper in Eloy Room. You saw what Aiden Morris is able to do. So you've got the younger players who are there. You have your experienced players that are there. You get the opportunity to go for a repeat at home. I think Caleb Porter's good.
As long as it's not Saudi coming in, the amount of cigarette smoke that would be at BMO, I don't think we can handle that. But another interesting name that was brought up there.
But I think you're onto something, though. I think that we were kind of, when Saudi was away from Chelsea. Could you imagine? And this is probably a promo that writes itself. Could you imagine Saudi ball in Charlotte, the home of the tobacco industry, with Saudi ball coming in? Where, I mean, the sponsorships write themselves. I know that Ally Bank is on their kit and everything, and it's the first one in the door. But could you imagine Saudi ball in Charlotte?
Yeah, MJ smoking the cigars, Saudi smoking the cigarettes. Beautiful for the well-being of all the citizens around the city there. That sounds amazing. But going on to like Toronto.
Kepa in Charlotte, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That should be fun if that happened. But like even going on to this vacancy, Carmen, I'll bring you in on this one with Vieira. Like he was in NYCFC, didn't really work out, and I know he's one of the names that they're kind of targeting. Like, would you take the chance on him coming into Toronto?
I mean, you look at the transition that Thierry Henry has made from job to job, and I think he's been better and better and better. So I think Vieira knows the MLS, knows the players, knows the quality, knows. I think it would be a good fit for sure. You know, it's the question of the buy-in from, you know, the big three. Pazuello, Bradley, and Altidore. Are they gonna? How are they gonna be bought in? Are they gonna be bought into? I think they're gonna be a big part of that decision as well. From what I know, the relationship between Bill Manning and those three. So I think that's gonna be a telling factor, and I think that they're gonna have their own ideas. And I think whoever comes in is kind of keeping the seat warm for maybe Michael Bradley to take over, you know, and that seems like a smart, or not a smart, not a possible transition for TFC.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Like, John, what do you think of Vieira? Like when he was in MLS, like he had some of his struggles. I think Pirlo was on the team, Lampard was on the team. He had some aging guys.
Yeah, I mean, Vieira, if you compare Vieira and Domi Torrent with their times at NYC, I would have chosen Torrent. For me, would be ahead of Vieira in a search list if you're looking at their time with NYCFC. I would understand the international relationship with Patrick Vieira, bringing him in with you know, MLSC wanting to be that conduit to bring European talent or South American talent to be under someone like a Patrick Vieira. I would understand it. I would think that he would be on a short list. I would think that Vieira would be someone that you would want to talk to with his experience and, you know, wanting to bring folks back over from the Premier League or up and coming talent, that kind of thing, depending on if you wanted to have Toronto FC be a 2.0 or a 3.0 when it comes to MLS. Definitely would be someone that I would want to talk to. But honestly, for me, I would have Domi Torrent on my list ahead of Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's it for MLS here. We're going to go on to EPL, where it was kind of eventful, the kind of week Manchester United once again had. There's still talks of the whole Paul Pogba saga. Will he stay? Will he go? They had a nice little battle with Sheffield United.
Oh, he has to go. There is no other discussion. He has to go. He should have been sat.
We talked about the way Solskjaer is going to deal with the situation, and he didn't bench him. He played him. Yeah. He played him, and he kind of gave him the opportunity to fail. And in that Champions League game, he pretty much failed. So, I mean, his stock didn't rise from that, and you know, they've been struggling. And I agree that he has to go. I agree that he's kind of a cancer in the locker room. Yeah, but and I think that these two games kind of put the nail in the coffin for him at Manchester United.
Yeah, I agree. And just even on that game yesterday, Sheffield United, my guy, McGoldrick over there, 2 goals. It was tough. He almost got the job done. Carmen, what did you think of Manchester United's performance against the amazing Sheffield United?
Well, don't forget, Sheffield United was almost like a top 10, top 12 team last year, and it took a while for them to figure it out, and they've been unlucky a few times this year. And I mean, again, yesterday, Manchester was the better team. Manchester deserved the result, but it wasn't so simple and comfortable as we all expected. There's still a tension in the way they play that doesn't ooze confident for a Man United supporter. That's for sure.
And John, like
So
we see this bottom of the
all right,
table.
well, first off, let me start about your Sheffield United first and foremost. Last season, when Chris Wilder came up from the championship, and for some strange reason, everybody thought that playing the 3-5-2 was something that was brought in from Jupiter and had never been seen before. The way that I liken it, it's kind of like when you call up the pitcher from AAA and you throw him in for that spot start, and he'll give you 5+ or 6+, and he might give up a run or two. Then he'll stick with the big leagues. That first start was what we saw last season with Sheffield United. Then Sheffield United, first and foremost, Sheffield United loses Dean Henderson, who was a big solution for a lot of problems that you could have had at the back. And I mean, the defense was stout last year, with whether it was 3 at the back or 5 at the back, depending on how things were on any given possession. But when you had Dean Henderson in net, that to me solved a lot of your problems. When you lost Dean Henderson, and he's now the number 2 at Manchester United, the loan deal's over, he goes back, and you bring in Aaron Ramsdale from Bournemouth. Bournemouth had been relegated to the championship. Aaron Ramsdale is not Dean Henderson, first and foremost. One does not equal the other. This is a totally different situation between the sticks. And then with what you saw last year with Sheffield United coming back this year, this is that second time through the batting order for the rest of the Premier League to see what Chris Wilder has with the 3-5-2. The league adjusted. The league had film on Sheffield United. Sheffield United, in turn, did not adjust and have not adjusted to how the Premier League is now seeing them. And also, when you've only scored 7 goals, I think, this year to date, and 2 of them came yesterday as we're talking, that's a problem. I wondered, and I still do, I wonder how much of a lifespan Chris Wilder has at Sheffield United. But if I guess you're in for a penny right now, you're in for the full pound, because if you haven't won yet and you're at the bottom of the table, you only have 1 draw this season in 12 matches, you're like 1-11. You're not scoring goals. Your goal difference is where it is. You're obviously in serious trouble. I think Sheffield has Brighton this weekend. That to me would be a must win to get them in the right direction. I think that festive fixtures might give them a chance to catch up a little bit. If they don't, does Chris Wilder make it to the other end of festive fixtures and finish the season? Or is the season so lost at this point that Wilder stays and you just go down with what you have? That's Sheffield United for me. Manchester United, it almost seems like a telenovela. Really, it does. It's like, is Ole there? Is Ole gone? Is Pogba in? Is Pogba out? Figure it out. I would have thought, and the thing is here, and Coach, I know that we've been talked about this too. Pochettino is still out there. If you want Pochettino, if you're so dead set on having Mauricio Pochettino as your manager, and you don't have Inter pick him up, or you don't have anybody else pick him up, Real Madrid, whatever, you better pull the trigger now. I don't think it's a solution for the rest of this season, but the thing is, they're like 6th. So they're right there in European competition anyway. And there isn't a whole lot of room where you could sit there one good week, you could be up to 3rd or 4th, and you can still do things. So I can't read the vibe of Manchester United, but I think if Ed Woodward, who needs to be as far away from the day-to-day managing as humanly possible, everybody sits there and they want Mauricio Pochettino, you've got to do something now, despite the fact that you're still winning And I would have thought it would have happened after the crash out of the Champions League myself, but it didn't happen then. So who knows when it's going to happen at this rate?
Oh, it'll happen. Give it Sunday when they take on Leeds. After Leeds beats them, Merry Christmas, Man United fans. I think that's when it's going to happen. But one of the games that we're going to see this weekend is looking like it could jeopardize the standings when you're looking at Man City, Liverpool. Two teams that might actually even come as a surprise to some people. Crystal Palace is taking on Liverpool, the early game tomorrow morning, 7:30. Then Southampton and Man City. I'll start with you, Carmen. Could any of these teams come up and shock the two giants in the EPL?
I mean, absolutely. Southampton, regardless of the red card, before the red card, were a much better team than Arsenal, and I think they Danny Ings and they just have a continuity about their group, continuity and flow about their group, and they have a lot of players that have been through it, like Brian Bertrand. They have just a lot of players that have been in big teams and won big things, and I just think that they have a great continuity right now, and I don't think it's a surprise that they're where they are in the standings. And then I do think that the approach of the manager, it has kind of gone away from his Dutch ideologies and kind of suited the 4-4-2 suits his players. And he's realized that it's players before system, and I think that they have a good system, whether it's defending in that 4-2-4 or attacking and they're getting involved. The Bertrand's involved, the Romu's positioning and his addition to a game, whether it's in a defensive spot or in an 8. I mean, they kind of interchange those situations. I think it's a solid team, and I don't think Manchester City is scaring anyone right now.
Yeah, same to you, John. With those two, like Crystal Palace could be a trap, but like Southampton has been top 3 for a while now.
Crystal Palace is the Premier League box of chocolates on a weekly basis from Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. You could get a team that's going to light folks up, and it depends really on which Wilfred Zaha shows up as to which Crystal Palace you're going to get. Southampton, for me, I always go back to the turning point of the 9-0 loss with Leicester last year. I would have thought that Ralph Hasenhüttl would have been out on his ear and any other body part at that point, but they stuck with him. And you're seeing what Danny Ings has meant to that offense. When Danny Ings was injured, you saw Shea Adams step up. You've got guys like James Ward-Prowse who are having great years statistically, guys like Vestergaard at the back who are helping things out. So for me, am I surprised in this year where Southampton doesn't have to concern itself with European competition? And I think that that's something else that we have to look at here. When it comes to a lot of these surprises in the table, who's in the European theater and who isn't? Who's benefiting by not being in the European theater? Southampton is one of those. Tottenham has been built to sustain itself in Europa League with the madness of that schedule, bringing in folks like Gareth Bale and such. So the depth is there and the health is there so far for Tottenham. As long as they don't put Joe Hart in net, then they'll be okay. Southampton, not a surprise that they are where they are because of the faith that the front office and the players have invested in themselves and in Ralph Hasenhüttl. I think that really, for me, the match that I'm looking at this weekend is Everton and Arsenal. And when you have Mikel Arteta, who I think that you might get through festive fixtures, and that's about it. But because there are 2 games toward the end of festive fixtures against West Brom and Brighton. Right now, you're looking at Arsenal. Arsenal are 5 points clear from the relegation zone. And that, to me, is a mind bender about how things are. They haven't won in their last 5. They've got 2 points out of the deal. Brighton is only 3 points back. West Brom is still, West Brom changed to Big Sam. And so that's going to be some of the most exciting soccer that we will ever have seen for the remaining 25 matches this year. But I'm concerned about Arsenal. Burnley might be getting new owners who want to invest in the January window. So what do we see from them there? Does Burnley get some offensive help? Because they've only scored 6 goals all season long. But for me, I'm focused on Arsenal at the bottom of the table. That, to me, is going to be one of the biggest storylines going into festive fixtures.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Festive fixtures. Let's get like festive. John, Carmen is like sleeping there. Okay, come on. First of all, how's my hair doing? Look at my hair. Look at okay.
I think you
First,
need a little more product there, Joe.
Yeah, it's a
John,
little more.
Just a
it's
little
all
bit more.
water.
Just a little bit.
It's all water. Now, Giancarlo, where's that Christmas present microphone that I got you? And now you're wearing earphones. What's wrong with you there? All right, that's number one.
Right
Number
here.
number two, I want to say a special happy birthday to Stone Cold Steve Austin and my former wife, Trish Stratus. All
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Trish
wow.
Stratus, my York University alum, by the way, Carmen, York University alum. All right. And Carmen, I know it's the holiday season and all that, but I know you set up, and I'm going to go off script here. You set up a GoFundMe page a couple days ago for a friend of yours. Do you want to elaborate, and let's get that going here, because for everybody watching and listening, I think they should hear this out.
Yeah, Giancarlo and I talked about it at the beginning of the show, and we lost a former player of York and a former coach, and who's coaching in our club as well. And he's just a fantastic individual that's done a lot for the community, Jody Forno. And his younger brother is still my assistant coach at York University, and so invested in the community, Vaughan community, and the Vaughan Soccer Club. So yeah, it's kind of a tough time for us, and this little portion's given me a lot of time to get away from that thinking all that. So thanks, Johnny and Giancarlo. And yeah, we have a GoFundMe on our Instagram, Vaughan Soccer Club Instagram, where we are looking to kind of help out his just turned 12 yesterday, 12-year-old boy who is going to be without a father. So we're trying to do our best, and the community's been fantastic in supporting us and supporting our initiatives. And we are, looking for a little light at the end of the tunnel. It's a lot of darkness right now, but it's amazing how communities come together in times of need, and they're doing some fantastic stuff for a developing trust fund for Alessio Forno. So, the Forno families in our prayers, the Vaughan families in our prayers, because it's we lost a brother, we lost a friend, we lost a father. So thank you to the community so far that's done an amazing job supporting this, and keep the family and Alessio in your prayers, please.
And what's that address for the GoFundMe?
It's the Vaughan Soccer Club on Soccer Club. It's on Instagram. Or it's all over Facebook. It's the Alessio and Forno family GoFundMe. If you go to Instagram and add the Vaughan Soccer Club, you'll see it. The GoFundMe page connected there.
All right, I urge everybody to go check it out and support. 2020 hasn't been the best of years for anybody there, and that's my next question. I'll go around the table there. Giancarlo, when I come on, I take over here. Okay, so look, all right. So 2020, Giancarlo, how would you remember it in the world of soccer? Put it that way.
Well, we saw the Island Games and the CPL. We saw that Mickey Mouse MLS is back tournament at Disney. We saw Toronto FC go through their ups and downs. Was a little bit of a fun year. Got to talk to the team through Zoom instead of in person, so a lot of adjusting going on there. So it was a different year, and we saw Mario Balotelli finally sign a contract just to close out the year. So that's a good sign to see.
I can't believe he did not say we saw Giancarlo Alino as a TV star now in 2020. Coming from York University, Carmen Asako taught him everything he knows, and now he's a TV star. Come on, you got to put that in. Come on.
Yeah,
all right.
Following Carmen's footsteps as a TV star. It's good to be in great company there.
All right, John Freeman Nelson. By the way, the highlight for him, I'm just going to say it, John, because you're very modest. The winner of the best sports announcer in the state of Georgia for 2020. All right, you're looking at him. I taught him everything he knows. There you go. I didn't get a piece of the trophy there also, John, but go ahead.
All right. So the way that I'll break it down is like this. And I talked about it last night on the Barn Burner Live Year Ender. So for those that missed that show, let me show it to you here. There's a piece of paper that I've kept, and this is the lineup sheet from Atlanta United Club America from Estadio Azteca back on the 11th of March. 11th of March, right here. We were in the Estadio Azteca waiting for Club America and Atlanta United. And it was a 10:30 Eastern time kick. So we're in Mexico City and we're seeing things stop with the National Basketball Association, with what happened with Utah and Detroit, with what was going on with Oklahoma City. Mark Cuban looking at his phone and looking at other folks and going, no way. Those kinds of things. I was in, and after the match was over, it was probably, I got back to the hotel, probably about 1:30 Eastern time, 1:30, 2 o'clock Eastern time. And from there, I had one channel of English speaking media on in the hotel room. It was CNN International. And so with Atlanta United's plane having gone after the match, they got home, they got back into the country very, very early that Thursday morning. All Thursday, I was in a hotel room in Mexico City, hoping I could get back into the country with what was going on. Watched everything going on around the world on Thursday and how the world was shutting down in bits and pieces and in territories and in chunks. And was fortunate enough to be able to fly home that Friday, basically 36 hours after the Atlanta United Club America match. How everything came to a stop, and it's not just in soccer, but how everything came to a stop at that point, how long it took us to get back to where we were doing tournaments, whether they were in bubbles or whether they were in arenas that didn't have fans, or if they were in arenas and stadia that had limited numbers of fans, 1,500, 2,000, what have you, like with 1,500 like we had at the MLS Cup this year. To go from that lineup sheet to where we are today, it's been an adventure in journalism. It's been an adventure in health and welfare. It's been an adventure across the board in a bunch of different things. It's been an adventure in economics. And all of these things that we've been a part of, it's forced us to look at things differently. It's forced us to look at each other differently. It's forced us to look at ourselves differently. And so while we're talking about sports as a catalyst and the anchor for all of this, I think that what it says is it shows how we can renew, and we're heading in that direction now, hopefully, and how we can get back and learn from what we've been through, get on the other side of this, and dust ourselves off as a community. And that's what I'm going to reference us as, because the three of you are in Toronto. I'm here in Office HD in Atlanta. And the only thing that is separating us is distance, because right now, because of this show that we do every single week, that's just how we're separated every week. But we get to connect with each other. We've connected in different ways, and we've been able to tell stories in different ways. And so I think that it's been a lesson for a lot of us in a lot of different ways across the board here in 2020.
All right, very well said, John. Carmen, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been volatile. It's been sad. It's been all those things that in the end you need to persevere and just be successful. We lost some incredible people in our soccer community, and we lost obviously Maradona. We lost Paolo Rossi. I mean, earlier we lost Kobe Bryant, and and obviously right now it's closer to home. We lost Jody Forno. So everything that's happened has been it's the word that kind of strikes me as perseverance. And with tragedy and with sorrow comes the next day. And the sun's going to come up, and you have to have a next day, and you have to make the best of that next day, and you have to make what happened the day before and the days before and better. So from what happened the days before. And I think that soccer or football in our world did a lot of that. the credit to MLS, the credit to the Professional Women's League, who did did run MLS's back, and the tournaments that the Women's Professional League did. They did set a standard. They did say, hey, we're here, we're going to persevere. And a credit to, the first sport to start up again was the Bundesliga in Germany. And that's what football means to this world. And we saw it, and we live it through the death of Maradona and the death of Paolo Rossi and the death of Jody Forno. We live it every day because we have to persevere, and we have to have the passion to persevere and to fight the obstacles, and overcome them, and make ourselves and our community and our world better from them.
All right, very well said. Also, Carmen, and for people who are watching and listening to this on the Barn Burner TV network, ZINGOTV channel 250, these three guys are, like I said about Giancarlo, lifeblood of the Barn Burner network. I just want to take a minute, because you know what, Carmen and John, I'm going to give you next Friday off.
What a coincidence.
me being Jewish, you're supposed to work next Friday, all right? But I'll give you next Friday off. And who knows, if you're good boys, I may give you the following Friday off.
Yeah.
All right? So I may give you but honestly, let's start off with John Freeman Nelson. I'm very proud to call him my friend. This guy, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say networks or whatever, but this guy deserves to be not only in soccer, football, hockey, you name it, even some wrestling there also. This guy deserves all the credit for being the best sports broadcaster in Georgia. But in my eyes, he's one of the best broadcasters in the world, and we're proud that we have a partnership with OSG Sports in Atlanta with Barn Burner. And anytime I call him, he's there. He gives advice to all our staff and all this. John Nelson, not only is he great at what he does, he's an even better person in real life. Not many people know that. And especially, I want to say a special thank you to his wife, who I take him away countless times during the week for half an hour, 2 hours, and she never complains. She never does nothing. Don't forget, I know it's the holiday season, but we can't forget the families involved here. So thank you to your wife. And John, any last things you want to say to the fans here?
No, it's just thanks to all of you who have been a part of this, because once again, we talk about connection and the lack of a connection, and everyone who reaches out on Twitter and likes and friends and follows and watches and whatever form it is these days, because, it could be something as large as a monitor. It could be something as small as this. And, we're connected in a bunch of different ways these days, but thanks to everyone who has been a part of the growth of this show. I mean, Giancarlo, you've become someone who is more comfortable in his own skin over the last year, in as much as where, Joe and I would be doing other shows when you first started here at the network. And, it's like, so Giancarlo, do you have anything to say? No. And then we just, because it was a bit of a joke, and, we got the joke, but you become more comfortable in your own skin as a host, and you're continuing to grow. And that's very, very cool. And to be able to trade barbs with the coach every week when it comes to positions and coaches and teams and personalities and all this kind of stuff, it's always fun to joust on this show and have all kinds of opinions. But thanks to everybody who's been watching all season long and all year long, as we've been able to do things in a bunch of different ways and put it out there in a bunch of different formats.
All right, thanks, John. Now going to the coach, Carmen Asako.
Carmen Asako!
That's right. Much like I say of John, we have a professional coach on staff. How many networks can say that? And anytime I call him up and he says, no problem. He doesn't even say, don't say thank you, he says to me. Don't say thank you and all that. And for guys who are in other, and I'm always going to put you on the spot, Carmen, okay? I know you're the York University coach, but anybody who's any team, Carmen Asako is an all-star Hall of Famer coach. He takes, Giancarlo could name the stars that have come under Carmen Asako. Giancarlo, name a few stars. Go ahead. I know that's what you like to do because that's what, oh my gosh, this, that, oh my God, we got this guy and this guy. Go ahead and name some stars that come under Carmen Osako, John Carlo.
Look at everyone in the CPL. That's one narrow star right there. Yeah, everyone. Ryan Telfer was there. Matha Arnone, Mark Anthony Kay, Dane St. Clair. I'm probably going to narrow down Jonathan Osorio. He was someone you had an eye on. Chris Manella. He was another one. Just pretty much everyone in MLS and CPL, if they're Canadian, they've come across Carmen.
And Carmen Osako, not only he's a great coach, much like I said about John, class act. And I don't do this. Take the tape of this and watch this. So once COVID is over, Carmen, I'm gonna treat you. Yes, the cheapskate that I am. I'm gonna take you to Nino D'Aversa, and we're gonna see 1982 highlights. 1982 highlights when you're sitting there. Oh my God, Italy's winning. Oh my God, oh my God. And I told you Spain is a better team, and you started an argument and all that. But anyways, so Carmen Osako, one of the best people, and we're so proud to have him on the Barn Burner Network. Also, the H.E.R Network. Can't forget the ladies there. But Carmen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to John, who's like we talk about soccer players and players making people around them better. John does that in every show for sure. And he's a professional, and I strive to be someone of that ilk and knowledge and commitment to the game. And congratulations for all the accolades you've received. Giancarlo, continue with your humility, continue being who you are, because you're a special person. And, there's a lot of people that I've been around that use those values and became big things. And, I look at someone like Mark Anthony. I know we bring up the name a lot, but someone like Ryan Telfer, they had the same values that you hold, and they work hard and they do things with integrity. And then, they learn and they develop, and you got to keep developing. And Joe, you're a friend. And I appreciate everything you do for us and for the game. Keep doing what you do. You do an amazing job, and God bless. God bless you all. And obviously 2020's learned that we need to be close to the people we're closest to and not take that for granted. God bless and happy holidays.
Thank you. And final, last but not least, Giancarlo Lino. And I'm going to say this with a tear in my eye here, and he's laughing at me. Look, Giancarlo Lino, like John said, came out there and very humble, like unopposed, like me. I'm very humble, right, John? Anyways,
Honest too.
Very humble and everything like that. And I always say this, I'm very proud of everybody on the team, but one of the guys that I'm the most proudest about, that I could see the growth when you build something from the bottom, and like Drake says, now we're here. Okay. Now he's here, and I only see amazing, and Carmen had something to do with this guy also, for everything he says about Ryan Telfer and Mark Anthony Kay and all that. I know Carmen has been a big influence in Giancarlo, and Giancarlo is one of the guys. I went and looked at. We have done 2,286 shows this year. This guy has edited every one of them. 2,286 shows, edited every one of them. And by the way, for everybody on the Barn Burner TV network and the Barn Burner Network, Barn Burner Radio Network, and H.E.R Network, we've just passed this year, with 2 weeks left, 1.4 million listens. 1.4 million listens. And we couldn't do it without these three guys here, without everybody on the Barn Burner team. Again, Giancarlo, humility and amazing. This guy, like, I don't want to lose him. Like, he's one of the best guys personally. Anytime I call him, he does the shows, he does the soccer, he does the wrestling, does the MMA. He goes there, and the least I could do is get him the TFC pass, get him the York United. You like that? York 9, York United pass and all that. So Giancarlo, it's like, and I say this all the time, Barn Burner is my second family, but you guys are all family to me, and I'm so happy for Giancarlo, because I see the rise there, and working with John and Carmen and everybody, with Aaron Stevens. Him and Aaron Stevens are becoming very, very good friends. Aaron Stevens, great wrestler there also, shout out to him. But here's the final thought here. We don't know. Well, we'll be back in the new year with the soccer show. And also, don't forget, be kind. If you're living with your mother, father, give them a hug, especially in 2020. Go around, even your sister, your brother. I know Giancarlo's sister and brother always fights and everything like that. But, this time, 2020 has learned to be closer together and never take anything for granted. John Freeman Nelson, tell everybody how they get a hold of you.
Easiest ways on the Twitters at OSG Nelson, also at Soccer Down Here. We have a Teespring store if you want to wear the
NWL looks good
For life.
Teespring store. You can get all this kind of stuff. But once again, OSG Sports on Twitter, at Soccer Down Here on Twitter. Don't forget to download the OSG Sports and the SDH apps available on iOS and Android. Cute Sports Guy on the Insta, because when the boss says that's what you are, that's what your handle is.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Carmen.
At Carmen Asako on Twitter.
And Carmen, tell once again how to reach you for that GoFundMe page.
Vaughn Soccer Club, Instagram, Vaughn Soccer Club.
All right, and thanks for all your help this year, Carmen, a great friend. And Giancarlo, you think soccer, okay, we finished soccer for this show, but remember, you're going to do the wrestling show this Sunday, all right? So go ahead, Giancarlo, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do that article on a very eventful pay-per-view that I'm sure everybody wants to see, all the millions of fans. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at John_411, Instagram at Giancarlo_Alino. Check out my articles on barnburner.ca. And since you mentioned Aaron Stevens, next week, if you're in Toronto, keep it on Vibe 105. You'll hear my holiday Vibe Talk special, Sports Vibe Talks with Aaron Stevens, talking about his early career, going through WWE, some stories about using a certain entrance music from Britney Spears back in the day, and some of his holiday movies. So you want to tune into that.
How did you know he used Carmen's entrance theme music? Britney Spears. He listens to Britney Spears all the time, Carmen, right? Come on. Oops, I did it again. Yeah, that's right. Oops, he
bumping
did
in the Ferrari.
Oh,
all right. By the way, Merry Christmas.
Wait to admit it.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Happy, safe, healthy. Remember, wear your mask. Stay socially.
Wear your blanking mask, people.
Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus. Feliz Navidad. Todo. And again, on behalf of John, Giancarlo, Carmen, this is Joseph Pasek saying goodbye. And hopefully we'll be back with the soccer show next year. Happy New Year, everybody.